Alright, it's that time again, I think, and so here we go. We got a lot of questions once more, again, as ever, so let's just kind of, let us go. Hey there, everyone. Also, by the way, this is Cow, in case you didn't know. What is if there happens to be the history of your intro phrase? The hey there, everyone. This is Cow saying. Was it inspired by any particular early LPer you were watching around the time you started the first videos? Alan Lalon. Considering I was one of the early LPers, not really. Whoa, what's going on here? I don't know. So, well, the fact is, it didn't start it out as it wasn't supposed to be a catchphrase or a gimmick or anything, but it's just that when I started, I just wanted to introduce myself. And, I think that someone pointed out that I kept, like, starting the same way, and it just kind of, like, went like that. Once I realized it, I consciously just kept doing the same thing because the power of catchphrases is that it lets you play on it. Like, sometimes I don't just do straight up. I do like a variation and stuff like that, or you can do it way later in the video. Things like that. Like, the power of catchphrases isn't just in constantly repeating the same thing, but in how it lets you do variances, and that is the real strength and what I like about them, and why I just kind of, it's one of the rare things of my own that I never change at all, because a lot of my catchphrases and whatnot did kind of like come and go over time, and that's voluntary because I don't want anything to come stagnant, but that's just the one thing I can't get rid of it. It's always there forever. But no, it didn't come from anything in particular. It just kind of came organically. So, now, if you had the chance, would you move to a colony on another planet, assuming that a stable interplanetary internet connection also existed? Adam, what planet would it be? Mikofire. Well, like, if I have access to the Earth internet, then what's the point of going on another planet if my life is essentially the same, but, what am I doing here? But, without any of the, like, except having to deal with the complication that comes with stuff being, uh, having to be terraformed. Like, I would rather not have to deal with that and just stay here. Like, maybe this is not the most imaginative thing ever, but I am a person that enjoys comfort. It's comfort is good and useful, and I have no idea, even more than usual, what I'm doing here. So, like, if I were to visit a planet safely, somehow I'd love to go on Venus as a trip because that planet is just like trying to kill you forever, like from the straight up with oceans of acid and whatnot, and I think that's kind of amazing. But otherwise, like I wouldn't live there, and again, like if my life is going to be exactly the same as in here, might as well just stay here. I don't know. I am a safe, boring person. In case all of these questions I've been asking or answering rather to you all this time is of any kind of indication. I'm eating the sea salt and vinegar potato chips. What's your favorite flavor of chips? Fusion Warrior asks. Either normal, like Pringle style, and if they're not Pringly, then barbecue. There you go. Have you ever found any original, the character, the hedgehog, palette swipe type fan characters of Demo and Friends? If so, what was your reaction? If not, what would your hypothetical reaction be, Koopa? Yes, in the draw a demo fan art for no reason thread, in the art thread on Talkhouse, the art forum, I should say, rather. There, no, after I posted the concepts for the Elder Demons, that started this trend for like a few pages of basically people putting down their OC space demons, and I don't really know what I. Well, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I feel kind of disappointed, mostly because I thought a lot of them were just so cliche, bad idea that you see everywhere. I was like, man, y'all could try a little harder. And also because I felt that a lot of them don't understand what goes behind the design of ABCDs, and that they are supposed to be voluntarily so extremely simple, and the differences between one another not that great. Like the elders were the most different because of how far away they are, but otherwise, I don't know. Like people were making them way too complex, putting it's a weird thing to say, but putting too much thought into them. Because they are purposely left fairly vague, and I don't know, like it's just that it's just kind of like I don't know. Upset would is a very very flagrant exaggeration, but it's more like just kind of like I'm disappointed. I guess I don't know. I was. Also, I thought it was removing, like the thing with OC characters is that if you're not careful, it diminishes, I feel, the strength of the original work. I've never been all like I love fan art of stuff that I like and whatnot. I'll seek out fan art and whatnot, but fanfic and all that, I have a different opinion about. I think they tend to diminish the quality of the work rather than add to it, which is kind of funny and maybe hyperbolic, especially considering a lot of fan art, like fan art, are create stories of their own if they are not just like basically depicting a scene of the existing canon. But it's different because it's just like a hypothetical. It's not the same. It's but I can't explain it in my brain. My brain is just weird about these things, and there we go, I guess. I don't know. Friendship is a place you can buy cans, okay? There you go. What's the scariest game movie you have tried? Wilhart asks. Scariest game movie. Well, the one movie that scared me the most as a child, which I guess is kind of cheating me because I was a child, was man, was it the Twilight Zone? Like they have like sort of like this super old compilation of stories making a story, and there's a story about the little kid with the superpowers. Anyways, there's a scene where there's like they open up a door and like he's looking through there and it's like a giant eyeball, and that made me super afraid and locked myself in my room. This is a terrible description because it's probably not even the right thing, but it's okay. The problem is that I've never was interested in scary things, so I have extremely little experience with it. I'm kind of a coward already in real life, and I was exposed to visual trauma as a kid when I was witness to an accident. So I trigger really easily to bone and blood and facial injuries. So, like, I just don't take any chances because that brings me extreme discomfort, and I just kind of like avoid anything that would upset me that way. It's not the best way to live, perhaps, but that's how I chose to go. I just don't like being upset, Like, people like being scared through horror stuff, and that's fine. But that's not me. It's not something I am way super into. Alas. Just curious, if I recall correctly, part of your name came from a drawing you did at school, a Mr. Roar, but you misspelled it Mr. Rao? Just who is this enigmatic Mr. Roar? And should we be afraid of him? Is Xerix. Mr. Roar was a stick man that me and my best friend at the time, Stefan, just basically drew on the school. At the time, that was like 5th grade, maybe. There was like 2 blackboard. It was like the main blackboard in front. There was like a side blackboard where there was like where the teacher would put down, for example, like the homework assignments and whatnot, like what we had to do and stuff. Routinely in the morning, we would erase when we got there early, erase what was on that blackboard. Like, teacher never told us not to do it, so we just kind of like kept doing it. And we would draw just about anything, we would just draw stupid things, and Mr. Roar was this stick man we would just add there as a sort of signature. He was just like, he was sort of, I guess you could say, he was sort of like the, yeah, he was like sort of the representative of our work. I knew, people knew it was us, but it was kind of like, that was always the last thing we drew, basically, was Mr. Roar was just really ugly stick man. Like, he was always like, sort of like this, with 3 hair. It was like, and we would put Mr. Roar Ferg. But there's not really that much more to it. It's just that for some reason, I don't know why, but it just stuck to me, and then the rest of the story with how I just kept using RAO as my arcade little signature, and etc, 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 etc. ETC. Period. Have you ever considered playing any of the Mario RPGs, not necessarily for an audience, but at your own leisure? I think you'd catch a lot more references in the Mario fan games you play if you ever dipped into the RPG scenes besides just Smurger. And if you like the humor in Toadette, there's plenty more like it in the Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi games. You can even buy some of the older ones for cheap on your Wii U machine, or just emulate them if you want. Whoopar. I have no doubts that I would enjoy them quite a bit, and that they would be super cool, and that I would find them amusing. It's a time thing. Like, if I had an unlimited amount of time that I could just spend it to play video games forever, yes, I would definitely play them. Although I'd be curious, because I have long lost interest in RPGs since my youthful teenage years. So I don't know if I have the patience for it, but maybe, I don't know, like, who knows. Otherwise, though, yeah, no, I'd be interested, but it's purely a time thing. It's, like, I can't explain it, but I don't got a lot of time for a lot of things. Like, when I play games casually for myself, it's either Hearthstone or, these days, Binding of Isaac. Like, and, like, you are aware that it would be terrible for a Let's Play. So the chances are that to play it are probably fairly slim, unfortunately. But that's just how it is. Because, yeah, no, I'm sure I'd enjoy them. It's just that I don't think I enjoy them enough to make the time for it, if that makes sense. It's just that I don't have the patience. At least I don't think in theory for RPGs and the time investment that it's a bad way to look at things, maybe, but it's kind of like how I am right now. And I don't know, this video, I just keep slamming myself here. It's pretty great. Regarding a house tour, let me restart that. Regarding a house tour, how about if we can support you enough that you can move to a luxury mansion, then you give us a tour of your old place as you move out? Till I'm on. Yeah, sure. In the never % chance that happens, I'll gladly give you a tour of my current apartment before I leave. Questions within questions within questions. The Seriously is Becoming Pandora's Box Collection Edition. That's not going to stop me from contributing to the endless mountain of questions, though. Tilde. Have you had any ellipses feelings for fictional characters before? Not like, I want to do the horizontal monster mash with them. Just like, have you ever loved something or someone who doesn't exist? And if so, who? My money is on a 1990s rendition of Randy Savage from the hit video game WWF WrestleMania Challenge on NES. Wink emoticon! Be kamikaze. The answer is no. I never fell in love with a fictional character. I'm sorry. I've certainly super appreciated some characters and their aesthetics and whatnot, but no, I'm sad to say I never felt love with a fictional character. I know this diminishes my worth as a human being quite a bit, but alas, some of them, or some of us are just kind of like broken in the head that way. There's this one word you say from time to time. It sounds like shish manu. What? That I've never seen anywhere else. What does it mean? I've tried to search for it and I can't even get close enough in spelling for an accurate result that come up. Real question, have you ever rewatched any of your old LPs? Not like editing, of course, month, years after you finish them up small bobo. Shish manu? It's either Simonac, which is just a random, totally legit Quebec French swear, or Keshfela, which is basically just shrunk down version of Qu'est-ce que je fais là, which stands for what am I doing? Something I clearly say in English sometimes when I'm being frustrated about myself because I keep redoing the same mistake again and again, or just doing weird, irrational movements, which also happens fairly frequently. I can't really offer more than that though, because you know. What the hell was that? As for watching my own stuff, very rarely. I find a lot of my stuff extremely cringeworthy after the facts. But, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, if I get, for some reason, linked to an old video, I'll probably watch it entirely. Like, the other day, for some reason, I saw a link to a playthrough of one of the levels of, like the late levels of Magal X, the first, and whoops! I think I watched part, like, from the 9th place to the 2nd place. I figured, oh man, this is pretty fun. And a nice little memory, but it does not happen often, and it's not something that'll be started by me, I guess. Like I've stated in the past, that in order to make good video, you need to be a fan of your own work. And that's mostly true. However, there's just this... There's a certain awkwardness that goes with this experiencing your own thing. Like, I will never watch one of my videos and experience the same thing you did. Like, it doesn't quite work that way. Like, do a video of some kind and watch it again, like, 2 years later, and I think you might understand what I possibly may or may not mean. And this is a pretty cool Persona 4 OC demon thing I'm doing here. I have no idea what I'm doing. Help. It's on the plane. I'm drowning. You know, have you ever just thought of limiting patrons to one question a video? I know I'm guilty of it just as much as the other here, but I think that consciously imposing a limit of what we can ask can be one way of shortening the videos. Plus, it forces us to be it forces us to get clever. That guy, if actually probably would have the opposite effect. If I say, okay, y'all get one question a week, that will make some people think that they have to come up with a question, and they'll just come up with whatever, and not necessarily something they are actually interested in, nor something they might think is clever and funny and share with the group, so to speak. I'd rather just leave it, fairly open-ended. Will happen. Now we're just in a phase where a lot of people are saying very goofy things. But at some point, that'll go past. It will have its time, and that's when I'll be able to go over to the other, some of the other ideas we've been sharing here over time. And this has been going on longer than I thought. Time flies super fast, and it's kind of super scary. Please stop being scary, time. It's scary being scary. Time and time again, time. Time is time. It goes forward forever, and it never stops going forward. Even if you blow a whistle at it, it just keeps on going, and it will run over your car, and your dog, and your tax forms. I mean, that's pretty gross. Is there anything you've said in a video, either jokingly or out of anger, that you now regret saying? Maiku Waraharu. Yes, I remember that feeling, but I would be hard-pressed to find a... like an example. Man, do y'all remember that VIP 4 video with the Bramble levels where I say, oh man, if anyone ever, if I ever think, that I should play games without save states ever again, like, something or another, it's a terrible idea. That is a cringe-inducing video for me to watch. I'm glad I came to my senses, but you know what? Here's an example of the kind of thing I regret. My run of Super Mario Freedom. See, Freedom was a delightful game with a ton of work and quality and effort put into it, except I spent a huge amount of the run complaining that the author didn't do enough with this thing. That's just terrible. I think I was a terrible host to the game during that because I kept pushing what I thought the game should be on it rather than just taking it for itself. It's not the most regretful thing I've ever said on video, but it's probably the one video series I regret the most because the game deserved much better. I don't like. I was just, yeah. I just kept, I just kept pushing my own agenda, so to speak. Like, no levels, no game should be about pushing boundaries, and if you've got an idea, you need to exploit it to the max. And no, a lot of it was just really stupid, and it's just, I regret. Like, yeah, no, yeah, I keep the video, like I kept the video online because one, I keep everything I do online as much as I can, and because like the game deserves to be showcased. I just wished I had done it another way around. Would it be worth redoing a Let's Play of it, though? I'm not sure about that. Because, like, it wouldn't bring anything else. Like, it would almost more benefit more of a re-narration. Like, me, retsupraying my old videos or something more than a replay. But even that, like, it's not... It's not worth that amount of scorn. Like, and it doesn't... And that would just bring attention more to my last play than the game itself, which is not what it deserves. So yeah, yeah. There you go. I'm glad this got fished out of my head. I actually could talk about that for a little bit and stuff. I don't know. Farts. If you could bring 5 people into being from not being, who would they be? Horikawa Otane. 5 different copy of last week's God Emperor Raokao so we could exchange notes. Since now you talk about canon, etc., and you call your creation Demo and Company, can you find a name for the series? So maybe people can also do tributes, calling them Colin the Tribute Game, Cat X. Well, I've always referred to them as Space Demons, and in lore they're now being referenced to as ABCDs. Which both terms are completely super duper fine, and I just used Demo and Company last time as a point of clarity, basically, to make sure you knew what I was talking about. Because yeah, Space Demons are ABCDs, that's fine. Like, that's fine. They don't need more of a name than that. So there we go. Yeah, a lot of questions this week, but they go on pretty quickly. Which one of the following did you prefer? The ROM Hack Demoman series or the Demoman X series? Oh, ASMT A2MT, Jesus Christ. Or ASMBXT A2XT SDS. Also, if the game you would want to make includes the extended demo cast, that includes yourself, which is self-insert fan game fanfic thing, which many frown upon, just saying. Alex Shinoda, fuck time. Okay, it's kind of weird because I like the demo design a bit more of the Super Nintendo, but I like how everything was expanded upon a lot more in the Super Brothers X games. Ultimately, I need to prefer the X games just by virtue of a better quality of game, period, though. Like, that can't really be stressed enough. ASMT, like, it was great at the time, but there are problems. And in A2MT, I don't think we need to talk about it. And about the rest, about like, if the game you would want to include extended demo casts. When I say that, I do not include, the Roux style Raocow nor Cood. Like, I meant just really just the siblings and the uncles and possibly the elders. No, the demons themselves, like Cood and myself and Sheath. They're just kind of like, yeah, they're characters in the X series, but I see them more as X series characters than the actual, ABCDs, which is what I really refer to. Like, honestly, if you were to make A3X, no, actually, yeah, A3XT, let's call it that way, and you would replace the graphics of Sheath, Cood, and Raocow by other existing demon characters, I would be super happy with that and would not complain one inchling, that'd be fine. Like, I always thought they were used there as sort of like filler because nothing else really existed at the time. But, they could be replaced, and like, not a whole lot would be lost. So I don't know. I think Cood has his fan base of sorts. He also has his anti-fan base, though. Like, his one joke is that he takes the plot seriously while everyone else doesn't. Like, it's funny, but you can't do a billion things with that. So he flies. It's very great. Part. Pika Bread here. I'm not sure if I really want to correct you because that butchering was freaking hilarious, but the correct pronunciation would be Preston Noblock. Oh yeah, question. Who is your favorite Cyclops sibling? Pika Bread here. I'm not sure why did I save this twice? Did you pose this twice? Well, I got this question here twice. What? What's the question again? Oh yeah, I don't know. Respect is the best. I said it once and I said it again, and I'll keep saying that. Even though there is no existing art of respect anywhere, that's not your problem. Too good for physical representation. I'm really, over time, really start to really like Serac a lot. She counts. I just like blatantly fourth wall breaking. Like, I know the ABCD games never really were big in keeping the fourth wall stable, but Serac is that one character that pushes it further. I love that. I love that archetype. It's a funny. They amuse meta characters amuse me if they are done well, and Serac is just not like subtle about it enough while being blatant. Then I think is what, like, yeah, Raocow, just go ahead and keep praising the character that only you really wrote. Yeah, now we see what's going on here. in that zebra space intro level. How many cats can fit in your planet? What's his number? 142, I think. Also, have you ever played an ASCII roguelike like Dwarf Fortress or Cataclysm? Zach. I played Hellmoo and so it's a game like roguelike, but isn't roguelike. I forgot. Adam. There we go. Not that much, but just a tiny little bit. So, like, if you're asking me for tips and trips, I'm gonna give you a lot more trips than tips. But yeah, yeah. There we go. What, if anything, inspires the character design in Ericel, or for that matter, other characters of yours? By that I mean, what's your typical process for making your characters go from idea to set appearance, Doctor? That's a very good question. Character design is interesting. Basically, what I tend to literally just kind of like okay, you know what? I'm gonna answer with an example. Start a new file here. Let's say, okay, I gotta make a character. So now with Aricel, we already had this basically like spoiler. It's an alternate version of Accelerate. So we want to keep the same general shapes, except switched for the place. So let's take a look at Accelerate's shapes. She has hand, feet, and her. She has a weird flower dress, inverted flower dress. So what I did is I take the same color palette, keep her red, except I just alternate it to fit into a sort of like not Japan sort of thing. So what I did is okay, so I want that kind of hat. That just kind of came. Then the rest, okay. So let's try to make this more realistic, a bit more realistic. So then you end up with a skeleton that kind of like ends up like this, maybe with hands with this. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. Then what I do is that I'd have that in real life, then I draw over it. Okay, so this kind of like, so that means like a sort of like this. Got a belt going, and we got a long sort of skirt or dress thing with an opening on the front. Not really sure what I got for arms there. That kind of looks like sleeves, so let's go with that. And I just build up. Like I start with really rough shapes, then I make like lines basically. Then I slowly close the shapes into like the lines into shapes until I get complete shapes more or less. And I just refine it, and refine it. There's really not much more to it than that. That's kind of like how I work, though. Like, and normally for a character, like I'll go through that for several different iterations. Then I'll choose what makes the most sense. Except it's kind of cheating because a lot of the characters are basically old characters of mine that we're just repurposing. Like, secretly, By Her Wandering Blade is just me taking all my comic ideas together and trying to make a coherent sense out of it. But considering that no one really brought that up, that it seems sort of mismatched or anything, I think me and the OD are doing a pretty good job. So yeah. If you have any more further questions or want me to go in more details, I'd love to. Character design is a thing I really like to do. There I did a really poor job, and I just want to quickly show like what's kind of it's iteration. It's iteration, iteration, iteration. If I need to invent a character out of nothing, I still have enough an idea of like, okay, he's gonna be this fancy lad character. So okay, fancy, so that means straight line. So my first line throw up is gonna be straight lines mostly, and I'll go from there. And you build up. You build from nothing, and you add more detail until you get something that looks okay. Do it 3 or 4 times. And then from there you take one of those 3 or 4, then you iterate on that. If you're not happy, of course. Like if you do this professionally, you'll probably be reiterating a character like 100 times. Me here, since just something silly I do with a buddy, I won't do it nearly as much. But basically, I'll go the gut feeling. As soon as anything seems good, I'll be fine. You'll notice that a lot of my character design seems to be extremely simple, and that's normal. I like to keep things very simple, symbolic almost. Because that says more, in a sense, like more is less. In art, less is a lot more than more. Wait, think about that. A few videos you talked about your favorite LPs and how none of them were smooth-based in spite of that being the majority of your background. That case, outside us in the VIPs, or in addition to, what would you consider to be your favorite or best smooth-based LPs? Shark OTD. That's a good question, actually. Let me think. Now we are specifically talking about Super Mario World. Hmm. Like, it's because like my early career is all garbage, save, scumming, complete utter nonsense word salad parade without any depth whatsoever. So it's like, does anyone ring any particular in mind? I don't know why the SDM series, the Scarlet Devil Mario series, is shining in my head because the games are kind of mediocre, but they had a lot of heart, and I think things went pretty good with them. It was also an early attempt at no tools playing. I think I'm gonna go there, even though I'm not sure why. That's something I'm not gonna say often. Okay. How's it going? I want to ask any questions this week. By the way, I bought some of those tagliatelle pastas you recommended, and I can't wait to try them. Also, here's my question. What are your 5 favorite seasons? Rex Meridia. Well, let's see. There's fall. In no particular order. My 5 favorite seasons would be fall, spring, summer, winter, and autumn. Top 5, right there. Not in order. I've been on an Isaac kick and was wondering, do you have a favorite character to play as? A Smith, just one. Not particularly. Like, I feel the characters are a lot more about the drops you find than the characters themselves, right? I'd rather play as Vanilla Manila Isaac and just play with what the game gives me. The advantage of Isaac is with the D6. If you get poop items, well, you can replace them. So, okay, yeah, so there it is. That's my vote. It was a very easy thing to answer. How much wood if wood would, Oliver Herrickson? Well, how much wood if wood would depends entirely upon how the wood wouldn't. But taking wood and also wood in consideration, I would answer wood 5. One last question. All right, yeah, today went fast. I say 37 minutes later. 2 things! I am keeping a running playlist of Rao's Patreon videos on YouTube for easy watching. Don't worry, it's set to unlisted, so only people who can see this link, thus our patrons, can access it. However, that leads me into thing number 2. Raocow, I'm not sure what you could do about this, but if someone wanted, they could compile all their Patreon videos into a playlist, set it to public, and share it all over the place. People can access these videos as long as someone can link them. Is there any sort of way you can prevent this? Does Patreon have a video host you could use instead? Is there any way for YouTube to recognize patrons and only display the videos for them? This concerns me. Luzia Nieman. Well, I'm glad for your concern, for one thing. So the way that Patreon works, well, you know what? Give me a second here. I'll show you. Oh man, I'm on Patreon, so, like, let's say I want to add a video, like, all I end up doing is I press this plus thing, and then, so, whoops, sorry, upload your thing. All I do is add an URL here, so, like, where it says URL, and I put a link there. Patreon does not actually host anything. Did I set this too, you know? Oh man, introspection. This is off the world. You're going to be seeing this soon, or you already saw this file, this page, somewhere else. And yeah, basically I'm going to save this, going to put this on YouTube and put the URL here. That's the fact is, so yeah, Patreon doesn't host anything. They just serve as a hub for between creators and the patrons. Patron. Like, how do you pronounce that in English? Like, the real word? In French, it's like it's derived from the French word patron. I don't know, it's one of those English words that I don't know what to do with them. Anyway, creator Joel Watson. Anyways, yeah. I'm not too worried, though. And, I'll tell you why, as I'm just erasing, like, I'm doing my my thing here, erasing to the questions because we're done for today. I'm not too worried because, okay, like, remember how sometimes I go on about how y'all are probably the best fan base out there ever? All subjects together. Uh, I mean this, and I don't see why any of you would go ahead and make these public for no reason. Like, I trust you guys, basically. Like, if I was some kind of, like, 500 hit every video type of YouTube guy, there's a lot more anonymity going on in that case. No anonymousness through number. And so then, yeah, maybe I would be worried. But, like, there's not a whole lot of y'all. There's, like, even amongst the patrons, a typical video won't even be seen by all the patrons according to the numbers. There's a lot of intimacy, is what I'm saying, between you and I here. And, basically, that's the thing. It's not that it lets me trust you guys. No, I very much doubt that you're gonna be going over and putting this because, like, you don't have any reasons to do it. Like, you don't. There's no one would gain anything, and I mean, if they were to start, I don't know if I would really be able to stop it. Like, the only other way to do this would be maybe like I need to like upload the videos in like a coded, like time coded mega account or something with a particular password need. Like, there would be ways around it. Would be a lot more complicated. This makes it simple both for me and for you. And as long as I have no reason to, as long as no one breaks the stress, which I don't think will happen, there's no need to make this more complicated than it needs to be. Please don't prove me wrong, anyone! That's all I ask. And on this note, this is how it ends. Not with a whimper, but with a blimp that says, wash your clothes on it, in flashing neon lights. See y'all somewhere.